There comes a time in every enthusiast's life when they discover a coaster that truly blows them away. Sometimes it's a coaster that everyone ranks as being one of the best coasters in the world. Sometimes it's a coaster that can be respected but usually not considered elite. And sometimes it can be something that you absolutely aren't expecting at all. On September 5th, 2021, I visited Six Flags New England in Ottawa, Massachusetts, a park respected for its great 1-2 punch of Wicked Cyclone and Superman the Ride. Normally, people would only visit this park for those two and just to get credits without talking much about the other rides in this park. It was on this day that my judgment for coasters changed entirely, and I realized literally anything can be amazing, even if it isn't talked about whatsoever. Thunderbolt is a 1941 classic wooden roller coaster designed by Joseph Drambor. Today, I'll be explaining why this is the most underrated coaster I've ever ridden, and why I believe this coaster is better than a lot of coasters people consider world-class, such as the Voyage at Holiday World. Normally, I'm a big fan of these old classic wooden coasters, but I rarely consider them outstanding or anything. Thunderbolt is an exception. This ride is incredible. The stats of this thing really are not impressive at all. It stands 70 feet tall, reaches a max speed of only 40 miles per hour, and has 2.6 thousand feet of track. The restraints on this ride are the classic PTC lap bars. However, these were different than the normal PTC lap bars. It is exceptionally easy to get a lot of room with these. I was able to get lots of room with these, and it made a crazy ride experience even more insane. At the bottom of the lift hill is a sign that reads, "Don't stand up." I may have violated this rule, but it wasn't really my fault. The ejector airtime on this thing was so insane that I was basically standing up on a few moments. After you get a good laugh at the sign at the top, you turn around and take your first drop. The first drop is shallow and it doesn't give any airtime. I've heard people say they found this ride rough at the bottom of the first drop, but I actually found this ride to be one of the smoothest classic wooden coasters out there. After the first drop, you take a slow, uneventful turnaround. Everything up to this point may have you wondering, why do I think this ride is so good if I consider the first part slow and uneventful? Well, the wildness is about to start with this upcoming double down. The second part of the double down is absolutely wild. It reminded me of the double down on Jackrabbit at Kennywood, but even better. It was the moment that I was already shocked, and just from this one moment. Little did I know that the rest of the ride would be even more awesome. You then rise up into another turnaround, this one being with a little bit more speed, before you drop down again. The drop off this turnaround isn't quite as strong as the double down, but it's still a really strong ejector pop that I wasn't expecting at all. You then rise into an airtime hill, which doesn't really do much. After this, you enter another turnaround, this one providing a slight bit of laterals. The drop off of this turnaround is even better than the drop off the previous one. This really is a strong ejector pop that you aren't expecting at all. Everything up to this point was good enough for me to consider this ride outstanding and heavily underrated. But then it hit me. The ejector death hill. This hill is one of the strongest airtime moments I've ever felt. And with all that room, it actually felt like I was standing up with my feet not even touching the floor. This hill just left me flabbergasted. It felt like I was on a coaster that only exists in my dreams, where no one talks about it, but it manages to just be absolutely insane. After this, you rise into the final turnaround, which provides some good laterals. The drop-off of this last turnaround is shallow and doesn't offer any airtime, but you're still shocked by the ejector death hill that you just experienced, so it doesn't even matter to me. And that ends your ride on Thunderbolt. As I said before, this is the biggest shock I've ever had from a coaster. My 4 rides on this were so good that I literally questioned whether or not I was actually riding Thunderbolt, or if I had managed to teleport to coaster at Playland. All of the things I had heard about this ride previously were negative, saying it's rough and that it's boring. I didn't expect this to have 5 absolutely insane airtime moments. This ride doesn't offer much other forces other than this death ejector and maybe some laterals, but that's really all that it needs. For its final score, I give Thunderbolt a 9.75 out of 10. This currently ranks as my number 13 overall, and it technically is my favorite wooden coaster I've ridden, if you don't count Lightning Rod, which I rode before the steel conversion. This ride, even if it had only one insane airtime moment, would be worthy of me considering it one of the most underrated rides in the world. But the fact that this thing packs in so many of these moments makes me question why absolutely nobody talks about this. If anyone else has ever had a ride on this as insane as mine, I'd love to hear about it. That's all for now. Inverted Thrills, out.